Hello and welcome. I'm Siddharth Zarabi, and you're watching Business Today's special presentation from the World Economic Forum at Davos at our studio of the India Today and Business Today. It's raining outside, but with me here inside our studio is a person who helps shape global telecom technology. Erik Ekudden, the CTO of Ericsson, one of the oldest companies in the world and one that was perhaps the first to make telecom products in India. Erik, wonderful to have you here at our studios. Before we sort of get on to the technology part of it, what's your learning been? What is the key headline thing that you have picked up in Davos at this event, which is coming back after the pandemic had disrupted it?
I think everyone really benefits from meeting in person. That is clearly something that we are enjoying. And I think this goes for everyone. We've learned so much in the 2 years of pure digital, accelerated digital literacy or digital comfort, but of course, meeting in person and discussing where the industry needs to head. And I think that really comes back to what we are standing for, the 5G part and the digitalization. Those are key topics here. This year.
Absolutely. And like Erik says, it was the telecom networks, the IT companies, the banking backbones that kept a world running when everything else had shut down, Erik. So let me come to the fifth generation mobility that is now on the cusp in India as well. As our viewers know, and you yourself are aware, that auction of the spectrum, the radio waves, is going to be held very soon in the future. Without getting into the details of the costing and what the government of India will do and how companies will bid, that's not a subject for our conversation. The first big point, how important is fifth generation mobility for a country where millions are still below the poverty line, where fourth generation networks have been built, but some parts of the country are still dark, where we do not even have fourth generation signals. How significant is 5G for a country of the nature of India?
It is still important, and I think we see this in India, the importance of 4G today. I think you mentioned that we wouldn't have managed as well as we did as society without having mobile connectivity. It's truly a cellular or mobile first experience in everything we do, from, of course, remote health, remote education, everything we do in our lives. 5G offers the potential to bring more capabilities to the network, providing better performance for those that have to work from anywhere, or of course for anyone that needs to be connected. So there is a need to move to the latest technologies, to constantly be on the latest technology. That also brings the cost advantage. So when we are consuming more data in the network, of course, networks need to be able to handle that. 5G offers a relief in terms of handling more capacity, more services. But it's also, of course, the fact that 5G now is more than what we say mobile broadband or the connectivity for your smartphone. It's truly important for society, for enterprises, micro, small, medium enterprises, and basically anyone that will benefit from a connectivity platform. And India, not the least, of course, will enjoy this benefit.
To make it simple for our viewers, for a larger audience than those who are just technically very literate, I have a phone here which is fairly okay. It must be a couple of years old. It has fourth generation networks, good coverage. In the Indian context, why would it be necessary for me to upgrade to a 5G SIM and a 5G phone?
Well, first of all, I think you pointed out that 5G is the next generation technology, and it is becoming globally available. In fact, we've already passed some 660 million 5G subscriptions all around the world. And of course, India, with a fantastic market, will enjoy the latest devices, the latest 5G devices, which will have a combination of advanced applications in the entertainment, maybe sports, media side, all of that coming together with the latest network technology. So 5G will be built into the next generation of devices. In fact, some have already upgraded to 5G even before the network is there. So
absolutely. And you gave me two further follow-up points. One is 5G in all devices, not just your handset. But before I get to that, you said 660 million. For our viewers, that must be in the last 3 to 5 years. Is that fast enough?
In the last 2 years, actually.
In the last 2 years, okay.
Yeah.
And what are the most popular 5G networks or markets in the world right now, Erik?
Well, it's clearly strong growth when it comes to Northeast Asia, Korea, Japan, China, North America, US and Canada, but also pockets, I think, around the world where there are great networks being built out, high-performance 5G networks. So Australia, Middle East, Switzerland, here where we are right now, there's a great 5G network. So it's coming very much online. And so those, that was end of last year, 660 million 5G subscription. We will pass 4 billion 5G subscriptions in less than 5 years. So it's really growing faster than any other.
4 billion in less than 5 years. So which means 4th generation networks will be obsolete by when across the world?
Well, it's not really working like that. As you know, you have some capabilities that are older technologies because you need interoperability with old devices and so forth. But it's actually a pretty rapid transition. So within 5 years in India, we expect, and this is the Indian number, we expect that 39% will be running on 5G.
39% of a billion plus?
Of the population base, exactly.
Okay. So that's a big number, 400 million. Now let's break down that other point about 5G in all devices.
Yeah.
What does this mean? Because, I want you to explain, as one of the foremost experts in this space, the global CTO of Ericsson, what does 5G in all devices mean? I'm happy with one, and I think there are just too many devices in my life. There's too many ways to chat, message. It just takes away so much of your time. Why would I need 5G everywhere?
Yeah, but I think we are also, now that's a great question, because not only do we think about 5G for consumers, I already mentioned the enterprise space, mentioned what you can do in smart factories, what we can do in smart transport system, logistics systems, autonomous drive. So 5G really gets into everything. 4G today and 5G gets into everything. But I think if you are a little bit visionary when it comes to your needs, wouldn't it be great to be able to not carry that smartphone all the time, but replace it with smart glasses that would allow you to get information presented when you need it, and
then live in the metaverse?
And you would live in the
and my avatar does all the enjoyment?
In the cyber physical world, where you're basically combining the digital world with the physical world, and they need to, of course, come together.
So you just only spoke about 5G enabled glasses. I hope that happens. What else? Yeah. What other parts of my body will be covered and touched by 5G?
I think that's an important one, because it will actually be the next user interface. Of course, a few years into the future, we see 5G in virtual reality settings today for gaming and for construction inspection and many other cases. And the next step is augmented reality. So these see-through glasses where you're actually using them as perhaps normal glasses, but you get overlaid information. But I think 5G, as I've said, it's really not only about consumers. I think it's so important, not the least for India, to take the learnings from the last 2 years, remote health, remote education. We could talk about smart manufacturing as a really important part also.
Where devices talk to devices.
So these would be devices in the smart
factory. So my printer, just to make it simple, my printer decides to order
your printer, your drone that is delivering goods to your, or where you have it with a camera, your automatically guided vehicles in your factory or on your factory floor. None of these things can be tethered with fixed connectivity. They need mobile connectivity. And of course, you need the connectivity with the latest technology, highest performance, lowest latency, that you can really have the sort of cutting the cables, you cut the wires by having an even more performant wireless system. And that's really what 5G does.
Erik, all brilliant stuff. But in the Indian context, when you say all of that, and experience tells me it's going to be expensive. India is a price-sensitive market with the lowest tariffs, even in 4G. Is this going to be a concern? Will 5G be only for the classes and not for the masses?
We don't think so, but we also think that technology is maturing faster than in the previous generation. So we are expecting that prices will be very competitive and they will come down. We also see now, with the volumes that I already mentioned, that we are further along when it comes to the developer, or the maturity curve when it comes to the silicon, the semiconductors in your device. But also you have to look at this overall situation. You're digitalizing the country. We're talking about a digital platform for everything and anything. So the cost needs to be shared by not only the consumers, but every micro, small, medium enterprise
I'm
that
glad
actually
you
benefit
say
from
that
it.
the cost has to be shared. So again, to make it easy for the consumer, a phone.
Yep.
What's the cheapest, if that most affordable 5G handset? Would you know that number?
No,
Anywhere
I don't
in the
know.
world?
Well,
$1,000 perhaps.
yeah, you can get to that level.
But at $1,000, it would mean just 5% of India's current base.
Initially, yes, but the prices will come down soon.
That happens, and by when? How's that curve going to look like?
I won't speculate on that, but I think that we have seen 5G now being, as I said, the volumes are coming up, prices are coming down, it's becoming very competitive, but it's also about really looking at, is this maybe also eating into other budgets? For example, mobile gaming being one application. We can talk about things that you do in the productivity space. We can talk about replacing maybe a laptop, or in some cases a tablet, if that's an option. Everything gets really so much better when you integrate it into one device. So there are multiple ways to look at it.
Eric, while we talk about this, I want you to tell our viewers about the network part, and I'll explain my question. India's evolved from a situation where towers were set up, there were right-of-way issues for cabling because urban parts of our country are very dense compared to other parts of the world. And then there were very, very substantial investments in towers. For a network operator in India, for the policymaker, for the government network in India, and you know we have two of them, is 5G going to be horribly expensive to roll out from a technology investment point of view?
So 5G is the next technology that to some extent builds on 4G, and that means that
it's a layer.
To a large extent it's an upgrade of the existing infrastructure. And then I mean the existing physical infrastructure, the towers, the sites, everything needs to be upgraded to 5G. In some cases, it's
even the backhaul?
In some cases, because it's not capable enough to handle the gigabit per second speed, but in many cases, it's already prepared. And also, which is very important, in our case, in the Ericsson case, part of this infrastructure, part of the 4G infrastructure that's been deployed for years now is software upgradable. So you have a path to upgrade to 5G.
You already provided that option.
That option is there in part of the network. Then, of course, over time, as demand increases, we see that India has the highest usage already in terms of gigabyte per month around the world. Of course, we expect that to continue.
Highest usage, lowest rates.
Highest usage in terms of gigabyte per month. And we expect that to continue into the 5G era.
Okay.
It is raining, sir.
It is. Yeah. I hope 5G can deal with that, possibly teleport us. Okay, since we spoke about highest usage, one of the other things, and
you want me to tell you a story about teleporting?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Because it isn't long ago we had a demonstration of holographic communication over 5G. So we have developed technology that allows you to get not an avatar as a sort of a persona in an augmented or virtual reality environment. You can actually get a photorealistic holographic image and therefore communicate like if it was teleporting, or if you like, holographic experience.
So be at many places at the same time.
You can be at many places if you like. I think some would prefer to be one place at a time.
Absolutely, yes. Multitasking at
sorry,
the next level.
You.
No, I was just saying that in the Indian context, call drops still an issue. And when I talk to network operators, they talk about continuous investments, and the Indian telecom sector has passed through some years of turmoil because of a lot of financial pressure and some regulatory changes. I think that's in the past now. I personally believe that even the 5G auction will be a fairly reasonable exercise. We will not see exuberance or underperformance. But can 5G make my basic call conversations easier in the Indian context?
And easier
without call drops.
So I think
what is that a function of?
Well, the call drops, or rather network performance. Again, I'm coming back to the learnings of these last 2 years. Networks, and this is not only Indian, this is global learning. Networks have become so important for society to work, and it's not just best effort. In fact, we are moving to higher demands on networks. Partly that's because we need to service with mission-critical systems. Enterprises have higher demands than consumers, but consumers are starting to expect more. In fact, you are using it as your primary access to fixed places. It's fixed wireless access is a big thing in India. You don't need to pull cables and fiber everywhere. You can actually use mobile technology to serve fixed places like homes. All of that really put demands on network performance. You need to have high network performance to sustain productivity tools, video sessions, and of course, just entertainment and gaming as well. So network quality levels are increasing around the world, and they will continue to increase. In fact, you should be able to also find out which service level are you interested in. Is it the basic best effort, or do you demand more? And perhaps you only demand more for a session when we are in that holographic communication situation. And while we are retrieving information from the web, we are not as demanding. And having this dynamic handling of the network performance, and of course then making sure that you get the network performance that you have asked for and you're paying for it, that is super important going forward. So I think we will see more of opportunities to differentiate, but also create much richer experiences. So from that point of view, it's going to be simpler. It's going to be possible to get what you're asking for.
What Erik is also saying is that when the pandemic and the lockdown happened, our telecom networks experienced a very different kind of pattern. Imagine rush hour traffic heading in one direction and then heading back home in the evening. Telecom traffic moved from commercial areas to residential areas. There was immense demand for broadband at home, which was never happening before. And instead of a particular time, you got networks having to provide and provision for higher bandwidth 18 hours a day. What Erik is saying from Ericsson, that our networks delivered in the Indian context, and that engineering will be significant. Erik, as we wind down this conversation, because the rain gods seem to be making sure that we realize that while we talk high technology, you still have to deal with the physical world. This is about Indian talent, and I always ask this to global leaders in companies. Over the last few years, I'm sure you have worked with a lot of Indian techies. Tell me, how do you find them?
Well, first of all, it's a brilliant talent that I always encounter. Ericsson is, as you started to say, we've been serving India for more than 100 years. We are providing telecom manufacturing in India, and we're working very much with the ecosystem when it comes to building and having startups leveraging on 5G as a network platform. And that's super rewarding for us, of course, to be able to support, but also to see the innovation power, all these new applications tailored to the Indian context, but of course they can be exported, they can be brought to the world. So there's no shortage of innovation and talent there. We are also very much working with the leading universities. We're very present in Chennai and Bangalore and Delhi and other places, of course. And there we are working with the latest technology when it comes to AI, artificial intelligence, data science. And we are very fortunate to have a very strong Indian base in our company. So a lot of Ericsson is actually Indian based, very significant part, I should say. And that is really important for us. We are supporting, of course, in the digitalization and the Make in India, but we're also very much making sure that this gets out to the world, becoming export opportunities, but of course also taking this rich talent to innovation on top of 5G.
Would I be right in saying made by Ericsson with many Indians inside it?
It's very true.
Okay. Erik, I'm going to wind down this conversation with the hope that the next interview that I have with you is one of our holographic avatars in the virtual world, perhaps in the metaverse. Erik, I enjoyed this conversation and I hope it was worth your time. And I'm sure our viewers perhaps enjoyed this. And when we have 5G networks finally functional, I promise I'll try and get him to do a real-time demo with us. With that, it's a wrap on this conversation. If you have, thank you very much for watching.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.